that the argument from the Israeli government that that's not the real situation? There's no starvation?
No, there's no starvation in the Gaza Strip. Now I want to talk about the Hamas lies and to show you all. Yeah, this is Osama al-Rakab.
Okay.
He suffers from cystic fibrosis and he is currently being treated in Italy. He is not starving in Gaza. We must call out this lie. I'm sick and tired from the Hamas lies. They cross all the red lines. We are talking about a terror organization who invaded to the state of Israel, murdered people, burned them alive, raped women, and now they are there to talk about starvation while they know the truth. And the truth is that they are stealing all the humanitarian aid that Israel started to ship into Gaza from November 2023. Enough with the lies.
So President Trump seems to see it, let me play another comment from him, a little bit differently when he's being asked about it. So I want you to respond to this when he's overseas, talking about people. We see pictures, not just the ones like you distributed to us here, but the ones that are shown in international media, people lined up for food. And the president made the following comments on those lines in Gaza. Let's listen.
And whether they're set up by Hamas or whoever, but they're very strict lines, so we have to get rid of those lines. But we're going to be getting some good, strong food. We can save a lot of people. I mean, some of those kids that's real starvation stuff. I see it. And you can't fake that. So we're going to be even more involved.
I think, pro-Israel president of the United States, should be fair to describe President Trump in that regard, saying that's real starvation.
They will not be hungry if the Hamas will not steal the humanitarian aid.
But you just said there was no starvation.
No, there is no starvation. I insist that there is no starvation in the Gaza Strip.
Isn't it one or the other, though, to be fair? Like there's either starvation, and it's because Hamas is allegedly stealing the aid, or there's starvation.
Hamas,
are people... You know, when we see these pictures, they're not all doctored, are they? Ofir, like this little boy here. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the situation.
They need to give the humanitarian aid to the Gazans. They're stealing...
Because there are people starving. There are people suffering.
No, they're not starving. I cannot accept the word starvation. This is a word that Hamas took like I will tell you, it's like the Nazis' propaganda, to take words and to repeat the lie time after time after time. Now, I want your producer to...
Let me ask you this.
No, I want the producer to show us the pictures, the photos from the Gaza City. The markets are open. There's a lot of vegetables. The restaurant in Gaza City are open.
No, but I'm going to ask you that. What's happening in that picture?
Do you think that it's a real picture? Proof.
What's happening?
Give me a proof.
Well, let me bring up a wider
point. Give me a proof that this is a real picture.
That actually brings up a larger question I think I want to ask you about as calmly as possible. I wanted to ask you that because...
Because, by the way, this is a lie. So who is saying that it's from the Gaza Strip? Who is saying it? The Hamas?
When you want to have independent verification of something in a war zone, what's the best way to do it? In my view, the best way to do it always is to have independent journalists in that war zone who are not taking sides, are going to be able to tell the story. My friend and colleague, Geraldo Rivera, who has experience reporting for many, many years in Gaza, talked earlier about the fact that he and I were in this discussion about we don't think there's enough people doing just that right now. And here's part of what Geraldo said.
Israel is not well served with this censorship. They're keeping out the press. If they let people in, I mean, I think NewsNation is extremely fair. Why not let NewsNation into Gaza? Let fair reporters with no parochial or partisan axe to grind see these things with their own eyes and let them report it to the world.
Not just embedded with an IDF unit.
Okay, this is a good idea. I must agree with him.
So why hasn't Israel allowed more?
Maybe we'll start to do it. No, first of all, there's tons of humanitarian aid. And if the United Nations will not disturb the mechanism of the American company to give it to the Gazans, and if the Hamas will not shoot people and then they will blame Israel, as I said 5 minutes ago or even less, I'm sick and tired from Hamas lies. They're shooting the people, they're stealing the humanitarian aid, and they dare to blame Israel. Enough is enough. I'm not afraid of them. I'm not afraid from the truth, and I'll put the truth on the table. And I don't know where is these photos are from.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.